country's Prime Minister. Hello, Dimeji Awoyemi, and thank you for joining us.
You're very much welcome, Wale. Nice seeing you.
And nice seeing you too, after some long time.
Yes.
Right. After weeks of speculations, now there is a new UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss. How is the entire Britain reacting to this new development at the moment?
Well, it's like Riley said, it's been 8 weeks of so much intra-party. It was supposed to be an intra-party situation. I mean, it was a Conservative Party issue. But it matters because in the parliamentary system of government, it does mean that the head of the political party is also the Prime Minister. And so Boris Johnson was edged out. And since they did all their hostings of the intra-party changes, you remember 11 of them protested. I remember we reviewed that here on the news. And eventually they were reduced to 5, eventually to the 2, final to Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. Eventually, the election was done both by electronically and also by post. And on announcing the result today at about 12:42 this afternoon, the eventual winner is Liz Truss. Liz Truss is, of course, has all the experience. She's the immediate, the outgoing foreign secretary. She's been part of the cabinet in the last 4 or 5 years, both from Theresa May to Boris Johnson. So it's a welcome development. There had to be one emerging out of the 2 of them. And so we have a Prime Minister from tomorrow, as soon as she visits the Queen, and the outgoing Boris Johnson takes a leave, and then she comes in.
Now, at this time of economic peril and political upheaval in the United Kingdom, specifically now, what does Liz brings to the table for the entire Britons?
To be honest with you, in the last 4 decades, and I've done a personal review of some of them, whether when Labour was in or Conservative, there has never been a Prime Minister that will have so much on his plate than Liz Truss. We've had seasons and times of inflation, of economic upheaval, like we've had all global economic challenges, but she is coming in when so many things are happening. I can list them to you. Take, for example, the average middle-income family is, because of the welfare system, is struggling today. Struggling because of the gas bill, struggling if you want to you fill your tank with petrol, struggling with even strike actions here and there, even though there are notices. The public transport, they still have to give you notice before they go on strike. But so they're struggling with inflation. So she has to deal with that. She has to deal with the backlog of the pressure on NHS, and that is our health sector. Here in the UK, there are appointments that people have not met. The emergency A&E, they're struggling now, and this is a ripple effect of all that is happening. Young people are now they're doing all sorts, and there's nothing you don't call ambulance to get. You call them to a minor injury, a big injury. So there's so much pressure on the NHS. One other thing that there's a pressure that he actually has to deal with has to do with the Russia-Ukraine war. Our predecessor has already put UK into it. To pull back, it will be difficult. Of course, she's also part of it as a foreign secretary. So it means she needs to work with whoever she appoints as the defense secretary to see the continuity of this war and to make sure it turns out well and in favor of United Kingdom. The reason why I say favor is, it is because gas is no longer flowing easily from Russia. Russia wanting to punish Europe. That's why the gas bill has gone up here. So they have to alternative energy processes to make sure that everybody is fine. Finally, there's also the challenge, which I know she has to deal with, and that is the challenge of the backbenchers. There's no prime minister that survives here if you don't have the majority in the house, because that is where decisions are taken. And the poll is not that in our support. The general populace, the membership support her with, that's a very huge number. Over 80,000 voted for her. But right there, among the 348 inside the House of Commons, she needs to work hard to rally them around so that each time she comes with a policy, she gets an approval and a support.
Now, the 47-year-old Foreign Secretary has actually promised a tax cut. How is this likely to improve the economy of UK, having highlighted the various challenges you've been going through?
Absolutely, because normally it's not a conservative idea. They are on the high side, and they are taken to be indeed conservatives. They are pro the elite, they are pro the millionaires, but she knows in our own line of thinking that, look, if we bring down the tax, more small-scale industries will have an opportunity to come up. COVID has already closed several of those shops. You know, we run a 24-hour nation. There are some of those shops that thrive on a cup of coffee on the road, somebody grabbing a sandwich. You know, they are on the high street. We are going on and on. And so if you keep on taxing them, you're simply saying plus rate, plus all the taxes, they're paying rent for their property, they may not survive. And then for the big companies, the only way they can support government, the only way they can have more to do, compete with foreign goods from China, which already people are already turning away, you know, is let's cut tax so that they can have a grapple with the inflation, so that more people can go back to work. Because the propensity is that people will go on welfare benefit. And if you turn to welfare benefit, I mean, survival becomes a trouble. You're just basically raising more hands, idle hands, and young people, you know, between ages 18 and 25 will become something else. But when you know that your NI contribution, your tax is a little bit manageable, and it's not a case of I'm doing all the work and you are taking 40% out of my tax, then there'll be an encouragement to go back to work. Our line of thought is quite a little bit tending towards Labour, which is why they were skeptical about supporting her, and the regime would use that against her very much. But I would think that since she comes up with that idea, it will be helpful, and I hope that if they are consistent with it, there can be a turnaround, at least to give us a cushion effect as we prepare for an 80% uprise in the gas bill from October. We need that cushion effect, and hopefully the new plan that she promised to release on Thursday will be explicit, will be open, and we can go on, and the citizens can go on to run with it and have a good Christmas ahead.
Yes, there is a new Prime Minister, but there is no way we won't talk about the Brexit issue here. What should this mean to the new UK Prime Minister?
Absolutely, because when the Brexit was muted, it was part of the people that said, no, we must not leave EU. And they also used that against her in the campaign. But like she said, it was my opinion. My opinion didn't have majority. We have already left, so Brexit has already taken place. And what it means for her, first, look at the problem with France, the upsurge. Do you know that because of that development, people that are coming in through Dover, through the water, through dinghies, they will just be on a raft. That is a problem. That she needs to firm that up. Number two, she needs to quickly help. As we're talking now, Northern Ireland doesn't have a government. There's no because none of the parties want a unanimous vote. So it's like what we call a backdoor. So she needs to intervene immediately and make sure that we are not circumvented. Neither are the Irish suffering. So she needs to do that. Number three, she also needs to engage the likes of Macron, the likes of the German, all our colleagues across Europe, so that there can be, because it was Boris that did the Brexit, they will just be knowing her, they will just be meeting with her. They already have a very negative stance against Boris. They wanted to stifle him. So if she goes out with an olive branch and say, look, I've just come, and not that I don't know what you're doing, but please, Brexit has taken place. We need one another. This is what I have on the table, and it's basically, it has to be mutual, beneficial. And as soon as she does that from the economic point, from the immigration point and from the social point, then I think, and I'm hoping that our advisors will make that to understand that, especially the matter of immigration. There are so many influx now, and some of them want to jump on the welfare benefit where the fund is not there. Those who can't do that, you'll be amazed, they're into crime. We are in an environment that we are already holding your bag in a public place very well. Some of them go into vehicles to pilfer, to do a few things, and because they can easily go out through Dover, come in through the same place. All those are things, are security issues that she needs to address immediately.
Now, let me put it to you. Do you think the new Prime Minister will still continue with the UK's policy on Ukraine?
I think so. Yeah, she believes it. She defended it with Boris Johnson. I mean, as a foreign secretary, and all the support that Ukraine requires. I'm pretty sure Ukraine has so much celebrated Boris because, of course, he came out of the because he also needed the support. He used the moment as a leader to supply all the machineries, all the hands, all the goods. I don't see Liz turning back because we need Ukraine. And there's need also to put a stop to Putin's Machiavelli, this wanting to be all in all in Europe. If she comes quiet on that, it's like foiling, it's like supporting, it's like making Putin to stand up. So I think as a woman, I'm hoping, like someone said, hoping we are not going to have another Thatcher. But even if we have, it is just to stay positive, to be relevant to the system, and to make sure that UK stands in the right place in Europe and gives Putin the right, in support with NATO again, and of course with the US, and put Putin in the right place. Otherwise, if that man is left to be operating the way it's going, it will have meant a wrong development, both for UK and indeed for Europe.
Well, I want to thank you, Dimeji Awoyemi, for joining us in analyzing the emergence of the new Prime Minister in the United Kingdom. Of course,
my pleasure, Wale.
He's one of those who actually passed through OGTV in Nigeria before moving to UK.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wale. Have a wonderful.
Thank you. Right, still ahead on the news. Still there. Ogun State government has challenged the 20 local governments in the state to grow their capital expenditure by 60%. The State Commissioner for Finance and Chief Economic Advisor to the Governor of Ogun State, Abeokuta, who said this on Monday in Abeokuta, faulted the present situation where recurrent expenditure outweighed capital projects as counterproductive. Fora Adiso reports.
A journey towards sound management and economic well-being of Ogun State. Top echelon of the 20 local governments in Ogun State, including their chairmen, were brought together on how to make local governments to be more impactful as the closest tier of governments to the people. Abeokuta, Finance Commissioner and Chief Economic Advisor to the Governor of Ogun State, bemoaned the local government for not doing enough to attract capital projects through the public-private partnership participation.
Even in terms of economic empowerment of your own people, you know many builders in your local government. Have you partnered with them to build shopping malls, to build affordable homes? That way you are retaining the money in the local government. So there's so many things we can do. When one door is closed, another one will open. And this issue you have mentioned also is a national issue. It is not an issue for Ogun State alone.
The Ogun State Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Olaolu Olabinson, says the state government was ready to assist the local government to use the medium-term expenditure framework to grow the fortunes of the local governments according to the best practices globally. According to him, budget preparation is not just to grow the numbers, but to prioritize the needs of the people within the limited resources available.
Bold and decisive action must be made to expand the focus of the MTRS to improve revenue generation. And we must give attention to service industry and agri sector towards increasing revenue and job creation.
During an interactive session, Suggestions on how to cut local government expenses for effective revenue generation and expenditure were brought to fore. Participants also commended the model of a medium-term expenditure framework.
Well, in my own local government, we are already partnering with some people on issue of shops. There are some that are coming that they want to partner with us on road because my local government lacks good roads, especially in constituency 2. Some of them are coming that they are street roads, they want to do it, and they are thinking of partnering with the local government. We are still considering that.
No doubt, the input into 2023 Ogun State budget is already being collated with input from local governments across the state. Adefowura Adesanwo, OGTV News.
Leaders of the All Progressives Congress APC in Ogun West Senatorial District have unanimously endorsed Governor Dapo Abiodun for a second term in office. Senator Olamilekan Adeola for Ogun West Senatorial District, the 3 House of Representatives candidates for Ogun West, and those vying for the House of Assembly seats in the 2023 general elections. This week, this was the high point of the meeting held in Ilaro with the appointment of Dr. Ishak Kunle Salako as the Director General of Senator Olamilekan Adeola's campaign organization. Bumi Adigo covered the meeting and he completes the story.
They are leaders in their own right of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Ogun West Senatorial District, from state to the world levels, and this is the first meeting after the primaries of the party. Everybody is now on board, and the district is being held ready to work for the party and deliver the governorship seat to their leader, Prince Dapo Abiodun, for another 4 years of unprecedented developments. Senator Olamilekan Adeola, who is the candidate for Ogun West Senatorial District, while addressing the gathering, affirmed that Ogun West has never had it as good as the current administration.
He has also done excellently well in the areas of governance. For the first time, to make sure we pay there is even distribution of the state resources across the 3 senatorial districts.
He assured the people of Ogun West on meaningful representation as he announced a 6,000 empowerment program slated for December.
The empowerment is just a way to tell them what awaits them in the future, and it's just the commencement of the process of representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate, in the 10th Senate of the National Assembly.
Senator Adeola, whose campaign office was inaugurated recently, presented 1 million naira each to 19 joint community development associations that benefited from donation of transformers. Also announced the Director General of his campaign team.
What my principal said, we are going to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience of a campaign in Ogun West. A very unusual campaign. A campaign that will touch every nook and cranny of Ogun West Senatorial District. A campaign that our people will be able to feel, to see, to touch, and to experience.
Representing the governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, was his deputy chief of staff, Dr. Toyin Taiwo, who said the governor holds the party and the people of Ogun West in high esteem.
Don't forget our strategy of the 3 C's in winning this election. We need your cooperation, we need your collaboration, and then we need your commitment.
With this development from Ogun West, the stage is set for electioneering campaign come September 28. Bumi Adigun, OGTV News.
The oversubscription to the first and second phases of the Ogun State housing schemes was responsible for the introduction of subsequent schemes for more people to adequately benefit, especially those that have already made commitments to the just concluded allocations. The Ogun State Commissioner for Housing, Jagomolu Akonde-Omoni, made this known on an OGTV program, The Round Table.
In Prince Court Estate, Kenta, the phase 1, phase 2. If I add the phase 3, we'll be having about 750. That takes us about 1,300. In Ilaro, we are doing 200,000 units. In Shagamu, we are doing 200,000 units. In Ijebu-Ode, we are doing 200,000 units. In Nota, we are doing 200,000 units. In Abeokuta, another 2 schemes are coming up. There's one directly opposite here, which we call the GRA settlement scheme. On that scheme, we have about 500,000 units, and I can, as of today, about 432 applicants have signified interest and purchase form ready to start dropping their initial deposit. Along the Ayetoro Road, we're having another 350 housing. If you sum up all this together, we are nearing that, that mark of 2,000 here.
The commissioner emphasized the efforts of the current administration, led by Prince Dakwa Abiodun, at ensuring quality and affordable housing units for the people of the state in a bid to bridge the deficit.
On our own, so that at the end of the day, the cost input is reduced to the barest minimum, and Ogun people can have what they truly afford, something that will not be a pain in their pockets, and they get value.
The commissioner cleared the air that civil servants were the only beneficiaries being considered at the moment, stating that the process is highly transparent as beneficiaries need not know anybody before applying.
Who can say, I have done, or my ministry or any of our agencies have done allocation based on man no man. We don't do it at all. But at least those that didn't get, like I said here, have been pre-allocated in a new scheme.
Jagumulu, however, stated the need for more investments in the sector to meet the current and future demands of housing needs of the people. According to the commissioner, the housing scheme includes critical facilities like health centers, shopping malls, and police posts to provide adequate security for residents. The governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, has accepted the resignation of the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Idris Salako. Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, announced this in a statement. Governor Sanwo-Olu thanked the Commissioner for his services to the state and wished him success in his future endeavors. The governor warned all players in the sector to respect the law or face the consequences of any indiscretion, no matter who the perpetrators are, and recall that the resignation came on the heels of a recent collapse of a 7-story building in Oniru, Lekki area of the state, in which 4 persons were reportedly dead in the ugly incident. The Executive Secretary of the Ogun State Security Trust Fund, Engineer Adiola Shusowo, has described the approach of Governor Abiodun-led administration in securing lives and property as tactical, thorough, and fruitful. Engineer Shusowo stated these on OGTV Current Affairs program, Hot Seat.
Governor is working tactically, systematically, and he gets his results. It is when you rush to do things that you just use corner. No, he takes his time. He analyzes. He has a very wonderful team that are working with him. Or do you think it's that easy for me to be brought down from oil and gas to come and sit in Ogun State? How much will you pay me? But it's sacrifice. I believe once there is security in the state, I'll be safe. I work in Lagos. I live in Shagamu. I'm very comfortable in Ogun State. What if there are no security? I will run away. So the governor, he knows what he's doing. He's articulate, he's tactical, he's intelligently working on all areas that affect our lives.
For full interview with Engineer Shusowo, join us this Tuesday or at 9:30 in the morning on Hot Seat. As the nation continues to engage in kinetic and non-kinetic methods of tackling insecurity, challenging the peace and progress of Nigeria and its citizens, the Ministry of Defense, Through General Bashir, Mogashi says regular surrender of weapons by terrorists and their families to the authorities has been a motivating factor for military troops on the front line of the war against insurgency. Speaking at a media briefing in Abuja on the successes recorded so far in the fight against insecurity, General Mogashi also tied the success to the credible intelligence being provided by the public to security agencies.
All theaters of operation in recent times has been very noteworthy. Of course, all this is in furtherance to our constitutional imperatives to enthrone peace, security all over the country.
He must have heard about the number of terrorists neutralized by the military and number of hostages freed. These efforts will not stop.
Going forward, the ongoing onslaught against terrorism, banditry, and thuggery will be sustained by the security agencies, especially in the build-up to the 2023 general elections.
In Nigeria has been reasonably stable in spite of activities of unpatriotic elements engaged in various criminal activities.
There are a total of 75,061 inmates, including 1,271 military detainees in all the nation's custodial centers. 3,150 are on death rows, awaiting execution, because state governments have not assented to their execution warrants.
At least 40 officers and men of the Nigerian police are facing disciplinary proceedings for violating the code of conduct of the force. The federal government has officially rolled out the Government Enterprise Empowerment Program, GEEP 2.0. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Ajia Sadia Umar Farouk, who launched the national phase of the program in Katsina State, said the program will be replicated in all the states of the Federation. The minister said with the rollout of the program, disbursement of loans will begin in all the states of the Federation. At the presentation of checks to peasant farmers and petty business women, she said the interest-free loans to beneficiaries was in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to fighting poverty and its devastating impact from all angles. The GEEP program is categorized into three: trade money loan of 50,000 targeted at uplifting the underprivileged and marginalized youths between the ages of 18 and 40 years. Market money loan, also 50,000 for the underprivileged and marginalized women like widows, divorcees, and other vulnerable groups. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations, with funding from the government of Japan, has expanded its response to revitalize the worsening food insecurity and malnutrition situation of vulnerable population in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. 49,000 vulnerable persons are to be reached by the project. The initiative is part of moves to strengthen the sustainable development goals of food security and nutrition, which is also in line with the second pillar of the Yokohama Declaration of 2019 to deepening sustainable and resilient society. A statement by the FAO Office Nigeria disclosed that priority will therefore be placed in boosting local production of nutritious foods among IDPs, host communities, and returnees. The initiative will also support the production and distribution of energy-saving stoves to reduce frequency of fetching firewood in bushes and associated risks to women and to the environment in general. According to the FAO representative in Nigeria and to the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Fred Kariho, the result of the latest cadre harmonized analysis led by the government of Nigeria indicates worrisome food consumption deficiencies and malnutrition levels, risking severe food and nutrition insecurity, And if immediate actions were not taken, the intervention therefore targets enhanced availability and access to fresh and nutritious foods and energy for cooking to improve the food security and nutrition situation, as well as protecting the targeted vulnerable households. September 5 is declared by the United Nations International Day of Charity, when people are reminded of the need to reach out to other parts of the society by assisting those who need help the most. Aderonke Adeyemi on this day visited the Stella Obasanjo home, where most people visit whenever they want to give to the needy. Here is her report.
Nutrition is about eating a healthy and balanced diet. Food and drink provides the energy and nutrient needed to be healthy. Understanding these nutrition terms may make it easier for people to make better food choices.
The importance of balanced diet cannot be overemphasized. When we say something is balanced, it means there is a kind of requirements that are met, both in terms of quantity and in quality.
Nutrition is as important as life. Without nutrition, definitely a person cannot survive for a very long time. However, as important as it is, there are guidelines to what to do and what not to do.
Nutrients are carbohydrates, protein, fat and oil, vitamins, mineral resources, and water. All these 6 nutrients are very, very important to the body, and they must be eaten at the appropriate proportion.
And nutrition can say is a drug sometimes, because sometimes you cannot differentiate between drug and food. An athlete that fell on the field, he be given glucose. Okay, glucose is the same thing as a bar, same thing as before. At that time, it is a drug.
Every September 1st to 7th of every year is National Nutrition Week. Health experts highlighted the effect of an unbalanced diet.
The effect of non-proper nutrition or imbalanced diet is evident in our society. We can talk of different non-communicable diseases that we have around us, talk of diabetes, hypertension. Diabetes is simply imbalance of sugar in the body. So talk of hypertension, meaning there is high level of maybe cholesterol deposited in the body, and so on.
Also, when taking certain drugs, some food items are not expected to be used concomitantly with such medications. For instance, a person that is going to be on antibiotics, take tetracycline for instance, should not go on dairy products.
The preferred ways by which a balanced diet can be achieved despite the harsh economy.
It is an erroneous opinion that people think only wealthy people are taking balanced diet. But the most important thing is moderation. Don't eat in excess.
Even with the limited resources we have, we can still balance our food to some level. What do I mean? It has to do with principle, being disciplined, and plan your meal.
For instance, we say people should take fruit. It doesn't have to be apple before it is fruit. It can be anything else. Because we know apple is expensive, there are other alternatives which are cheaper to be taken. Pawpaw is there, pineapple is there, and some other ones that are cheaper.
The theme for this year's celebration is Celebrate a World of Flavors, which encourages people to have
call. It's a thing that every one of us needs to go into. What we all want to achieve is to render help to our neighbor. So it is not until we have millions or billions of nairas or dollars before we can actually do.
Overall, this day reminds everyone that simple acts of charity can alleviate the worst effects of humanitarian crisis, and this is one of the reasons for the visit to Stella Obasanjo's children's home in Abeokuta.
Well, we are not doing the parts that we're supposed to do. The fact that some people are into it does not mean that at your own level you don't have to do it. You have to do it in the little way that comes your way. For example, maybe within your society you saw a child going to school without school sandal, And if you can provide that, I think you should be able to do that.
It is a thing that I want to encourage every one of us outside there, that you don't leave it alone to NGO to carry out the assignment. It's either you do it in your own capacity, or you look for a trusted NGO that you can also use their platform to reach out to many people outside there.
Happy International Charity Day.